My reproductive system totally healed. I've had 2 babies. I've never been constipated ever again. I have clear skin. My hair grows. It's absolutely insane the change from just taking one thing out of my diet has made. Hi! If you guys have no idea who I am, welcome. I'm Carly. You might know me from The Bachelor. You might have just stumbled across here, and if so, cool. So I am gluten-free. Lots of people think gluten-free is like the dumbest thing ever. And for a lot of people, gluten-free is the dumbest thing ever because not everyone needs to be gluten-free, but I actually do need to be gluten-free. I have had so many health problems my whole life, starting when I was in 5th grade. I actually started my period in 4th grade. You guys, that's insane. Most people start the period in like high school. Anyway, I got really sick. I would throw up like all the time. Like I just could not stop throwing up. And you know, when you're sick and you're throwing up, the most common thing to do is be like, here's a Sprite, here's crackers, you know, like try to keep something down. And so that's what my mom was trying to help me, and she was just feeding me the thing that was the worst for me, which we didn't find out till way later. But, so I would walk into school and I would smell smells from the cafeteria, and I would literally just run to the bathroom and I would throw up. And then I would make it to class and I would be sitting there and I would run out of the room and throw up. It was so embarrassing. I had teachers that wouldn't let me go to recess. I had teachers that wouldn't let me go to the nurse. I had teachers that would not even let me go to the bathroom anymore. They would make me throw up in the trash can in class in front of everyone. So I was in the hospital like 4 times and they never tested me for food allergies. They did colonoscopies, they did endoscopies, they did every test known to man, except they never tested for food. They thought I was a bulimic, they thought I was an anorexic. They kept asking me, what's your favorite food? Do you like food? Like, do you eat food and then stick your finger down your throat? And I have always loved food. I mean, my favorite food is chicken fried steak. Gluten-free now. But, so it was a weird childhood growing up, like not knowing what was wrong with you. They ended up putting me on like an antidepressant because they thought stress was causing me to throw up. It caused, honestly, like a lot of problems with my family. People believing me, people not believing me, people saying I just didn't want to go to school. It was hard. It was weird. It was hard. It was confusing for a child because I would get so dehydrated that my hands were like shriveling up like this. I would sleep next to the toilet, and I just couldn't stop throwing up. So I would go to the hospital because I was dehydrated, and they just never could figure out what was wrong. So I stopped taking the antidepressant in high school. Everything was okay. I still would have stomach problems. I suffered from like constipation my entire life. I went to college, still suffered from various problems, always stomach problems or intestinal problems. And then I started singing on cruise ships after college, and it was my last cruise ship. I was like suffering so bad. Like my constipation had hit the point where like I had to go to the doctor and be like, the cruise ship doctor, you guys. It was like so embarrassing. And I was like, can you please like look at my butt? I can't. Like a cruise ship doctor had to look at my butt. I still can't believe I let him do that like multiple times. But I was like, I can't poop. Like I feel like my hole is falling out of my body. Every single port I would go and I would try to find like their new way of helping constipation. Like in Greece, I remember I bought this bag of, what was it called? Mountain herbs that were supposed to help with like they were like a tea and they were supposed to help you poop, and it was just miserable. I was gaining weight. Like I didn't know what to do. I honestly couldn't eat very much because the only way I could like process in my body was to just not eat very much. So I really thought I was gonna get fired. I I've stopped fitting into my costumes. It was like so crazy, and it was really because I like could not go to the bathroom. What I didn't know at the time was because I was eating gluten, I just wasn't processing food. My intestines were so messed up that they just didn't want to work anymore. So after cruise ships, I moved to California. You know, I had heard of gluten-free, I had heard of vegan, I had heard of, you know, I mean, pescatarian. There's all these different ways to eat out there, which I wasn't doing, but I'd heard of all of these things. I ended up going to a doctor because my periods were really whack. She basically told me that I couldn't have kids because my uterus lining was really thin, and so I'd never be able to carry a child. And I'd been out there for like 7 months, and it just like totally messed me up. I was like, okay, my body for the last like, I mean, my whole life, but for the last couple of years had just been like so messed up. And I was like, and now it's affecting like my reproductive health. Like, what is going on? So, and like, what devastating news, right? Like a gynecologist looks at you and says like, I don't think you can have kids. And like everybody, well, that was like one of my goals. Like I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. And I remember I left the doctor and I went over to my best friend's house and we bought a bottle of wine, and she smoked cigarettes, and I was like, give me a cigarette, and we're drinking this bottle of wine. And I smoked a cigarette and I drank wine, and I was just crying. So I was like, what is happening to my body? I was so messed up from the whole thing that I ended up just calling my mom and being like, I think I have to move home. Like my body is like breaking down. I don't even know what to do with this. I made arrangements to move back to Texas, and I had been going to a church which at that point in my life, I was like very Christian, and I went to a church and I walked out of the church and I felt like I heard whatever that means to you, like you need to be gluten-free. And I was like, what does that even mean? And I was like walking by myself. I was like, what does that even mean? Okay. I kind of like carried that with me, and I was like, maybe I should think about what I just heard. That's so weird. Like I wasn't even thinking like you should be gluten-free. It was just something that like popped in my head. So I moved home, and my best friend, Heather, her dad owns a health food store in Norman, Oklahoma. And she was like, you need to take this food allergy test, and it's a stool test. So basically you like in a cup in the toilet, and then you freeze it for 48 hours. Then you UPS it to a lab, and then they test for what your body is and isn't breaking down, and it tests for like tons of different food allergies. So I did it, and it came back, her husband has celiac, and it came back so much worse than his test ever did. And he has a severe case of celiac disease. And she's like, Carly, like, of course, I showed her first. She was like, your test is horrible. If there was a scale that was like 1 to 16, and like 1 was like, you're fine, 16 was horrible, I was at like an 87. Like I was so far off the charts of like the norm that she was like, you have to stop eating gluten. If you don't stop eating gluten, like your body's just going to continue to get worse. Like seriously, that moment I stopped, and I've been gluten-free for like, I guess it's been like 7 years now. And it is my reproductive system totally healed. I've had 2 babies. Like I've never been constipated ever again. I have clear skin. My hair grows. Like, it's absolutely insane the change from just taking one thing out of my diet has made. Okay, so I think the biggest misconception about being gluten-free is like, oh my gosh, you must be such a healthy eater. No, I'm like not. I mean, sometimes I have a salad, but I mean, I eat pizza. I eat, last night we made a taco casserole that had tortilla chips and cheese and beans and more cheese and all of the things that you shouldn't probably eat healthy wise, and it was delicious and gluten-free. I'm cakes, cupcakes, brownies, like there are really good options out there, but they're not necessarily healthy. Like you can still eat like a real person and be gluten-free. Okay guys, so I am going to be showing you some of my favorite gluten-free recipes soon on my channel, so you have to subscribe and you have to hit the like button so that you know when these videos are gonna come out. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be showing you some really cool insights to my life and showing you some really fun stuff. So like it and subscribe.